Working Cows Podcast, episode 173.
Welcome to the podcast that gives producers a platform to discuss and share paradigm-challenging practices. Practices that have increased the effectiveness of their operation and the joy that their families have received from this lifestyle.
Hi, everybody. This is Clay Conry, host of the Working Cows Podcast, here with another episode for you, powered by the Global Ag Network, coming to you live from our hotel room in Cheyenne, Wyoming for Ranching for Profit. And been a long day getting here and catching up on some of the homework that we had to do before class started. And my wife was a hero. She got us through, I think, the last 130 pages of reading we had to do before we got here and the 6.5 hour drive that it took to get here. So it was good to have some of that fresh in our mind. And it was good to come and dive into school. And we're going to talk a little bit today, do some of the homework that we had assigned to us to review some of our major takeaways from the day's class. And we're going to try and do this as many nights as we can after class to sit down together and review the day and talk about what we're learning here. And I guess I'll start out just by saying welcome to my beautiful wife, Miranda.
Hello.
Thanks for agreeing to do this. I think it's going to be a fun opportunity for us to review and let other people kind of listen in on what we have been learning. And I guess the major takeaway, the big thing, they've been asking us to take notes on some aha moments. And my aha moment today came when Dallas was talking about the three-legged pot, and I was sitting there scratching my head, thinking, there's something missing from the four pillars of a ranching business that isn't being covered here. And I'm like, where does that fall in? Where are we doing that? Four pillars of the ranching business being people, land, money, and cows, animals. Yeah. So, yeah, anyways, so I'd always heard it talk about that way. And then if you spend any time around holistic management at all, they talk about three things, and they talk about land, money, and production, and they don't talk about cows. Oh, no, they talk about land, money, and people, land, money, and context, or the people that are affected by the business, that'd be stakeholders and the local people and all that. They don't talk about cows because they attach the cows to the land portion of the business. So I was wondering where he was coming at, because his three-legged pot is land, production, and money. And I'm like, okay, so the people are missing, but where are they? And he said, well, if you are paying attention, you'll notice the people are missing. Where are the people in this business? And he said that this comes from Stan Parsons, who came here from Zimbabwe. And he said in Zimbabwe, all the tribal people cook their meals in these large three-legged pots. And he said in a ranch business, the three legs of that pot are land, production, and money. And then the people are in the pot. And that when one of these legs fails, the pot tips over and the people get burned. And so if we want to take good care of our people, we need to make sure that our land, our production, and our money are well cared for, so that the people don't get burned. So that was kind of the aha moment I had today, of a different way of looking at it, another perspective. And again, one of the things that we talk about a lot is we've gotten really good at production. It's what Steve Campbell would call the space race. We've gotten bigger cows, raising bigger calves, and it hasn't netted us a lot of profit. And so we don't need to probably focus on production. We're probably either good enough or too good at that. We need to focus more on getting the economic analysis taken care of, and then probably the land, and then production last, and make sure that we've got a solid foundation under that three-legged pot so that the people don't end up in the fire. So that was my aha moment for the day, and we'll talk a little bit more about, as we've had opportunity to think more about what we want to get out of this week here at Ranching for Profit. We'll talk a little bit more about if we've had any clarity, any more clarity than what we shared with you on the episode that we released Saturday before we left for Ranching for Profit. So did you have any aha moments today, Miranda?
Just taking comfort in the fact that many people said numbers were scary. I'm not alone in my scare of numbers, I guess. So grateful that I'm not alone in undertaking that and trying to learn that well and run like a business. One scary statistic that I guess surprised me was on the very same page that Clay's aha moment came from, was 40% of all new businesses fail in their first year, and only 4% are still in business after 10 years. So how do we translate that into a ranching business and thank the generations that came before us that have succeeded thus far, but how much it's changing, ever changing. What does that look like for us in 10 years? New challenges to mull over.
Sure. Yep. No, I think that was a good one. The comfort from the fact that the group struggles with that. And honestly, I can think of very few examples of people who stood up and said, "What are you hoping to get out of this class?" Their answer was, "I'm hoping to figure out how to do the numbers better." Very few of those examples aren't alumni of the class, people that have already been through it, that have gone home and made changes to the production, whatever, I don't know what their situations are, any of them, but they've gone home, they've made changes to calving in sync with nature. They've made changes to reducing the amount of external feeding and hay and moving feed to cows that they're doing. And then they come back for a second round, some of them 6 years later, some of them 30 years later, and they're coming back because they want to know how to do the numbers better. And so it's not something that anybody probably ever feels like they've got it wired, but it is something that I think if we are willing to invest the time, it has a pretty amazing opportunity to help us make some better decisions and some more informed decisions and some decisions that would be better for the ranch overall.
Just the sheer dollars that ranches are entrusted with and the thousands and even millions of dollars we see in front of our faces daily working with livestock and land, and to be in charge of such huge endeavors, to want to do it well and to be accountable to that dollar sign, I think is a very, stressful thing maybe for a lot of them, but they want to do it well. And how many other $1 million businesses don't send their people out to get training? So to seek out more training, to want to know to do it well, and to never be done learning. It's good. It's good to see all age ranges still chasing that desire to be better at that aspect of it.
Yeah, those are always my favorite people in these crowds. The people 60, 70, 80 years old, they're still out there investing in continuing to learn, continuing to sharpen that management axe. And you and I have talked a lot about this over the years. Those just tend to be our people anyways.
Mm-hmm. We were born a few generations too late.
Yeah.
Old souls.
Yeah. Any other surprises from the day, or anything that you would change about what you mentioned as what you were hoping to get out of this class? I stole yours in our introduction today because I was on the spot and couldn't think of anything else.
Yeah, I knew you would stand up first, and then you went and stole what I had to say on the spot. I will really be thankful if I walk away with a few mathematical equations that I can even take back and teach to our 6th grader as a real life tool to say, hey, if we're going to do this and do this well and make sure we're not hemorrhaging money, you can help me run the numbers. If a 6th grader can do it, we can all do it. And I'm fairly certain it's going to be that simple once we get our minds wrapped around it. So, as far as continuing education and seeking those people out, I think that alone is a legacy that you can leave behind in ranching. The fact that you can be humble and say, I'm not done learning, and keeps you young, maybe.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. That's good stuff. You shared and I stole your drought plan, hoping to leave here with a drought plan because we are looking down the barrel of one. I'm thankful that I'm not one of those people who's bought into the lie that we are captive to the words we speak. I'm not afraid that if I talk about a drought that it's more or less likely to happen. I trust God's hand, God's sure hand on the stern of human history to guide it where He wants, and His provision and protection of my family, and all those things. But I do think that it's important that we do what we can to make ourselves ready to prepare for danger. There was a proverb I heard recently from the book of Proverbs, not just a fortune cookie deal, but that the wise man sees danger and prepares for it. And so if we can see the fact that 7 out of 10 years are below average moisture, maybe we should have a drought plan in place and be ready for that. So anything else that you would add to that list of wanting to leave here with a drought plan, or are you, and also some homeschooling for the win, math curriculum? Anything else you would add to that?
No, the gentleman across from me said, "You know what to do about the drought, right?" Said, pray for rain, and that certainly will not slow us down for praying for rain. But yes, to be able to look ahead and be prepared and be good stewards of our resources and not be caught in a panic will be the plan.
Yep. Well, thank you again for agreeing to do this. If we go this long every night, it's going to be a 2-hour episode, but
lucky you. You all.
We're not editing this baby. I'm thankful for all the people who have gone out and sent me audio equipment. I'm recording this on a live podcast production studio that was sent to me by a listener. We're using cords, mic stands, microphones, headphones, all of it sent to me by listeners. So really thankful for you guys. It's making the show better and easier to produce. And so we're not going to edit this much. We're just going to splice the nights together and send it out into the world. So anyways, any last thoughts or anything else?
Just excited to be here, and I hope I can be a sponge and retain a good portion of what's thrown out there.
Good. Well, thanks for agreeing to do this, and we'll be back again tomorrow night with another installment of these, I don't know what we're going to call them, sands through the hourglass, as the world turns, days of our lives.
Yuck. No.
Episodes live from Ranching for Profit 2021 in Cheyenne, Wyoming. We'll see you again tomorrow night. So here we are back again. I will try to figure out some fancy jingle to signify the transition from one night to the next between, but we're here at the end of day 2. First full day of class. We started at 2:30 yesterday and went till 7:30 or so, and then today we started at 8 and went till 5:30, and they do a good job of letting you have breaks and all that stuff, but it was a full day. And I guess if you had one word to describe today, how would you describe it?
Wowza.
Wowza.
I was thinking you could use that fancy fairy jingle button you found earlier. It sounded like unicorns and fairies and rainbows and yeah. Super obnoxious.
I got more. You want to hear them?
Oh, yeah.
This is live. I'm sorry, but here you go. Crickets.
Oh, I feel like that one. Okay, that's
sci-fi.
enough of that.
We got cheering, I think. Sad trombone. And the rim shot. So anyways, we'll find something.
Onward.
Maybe we'll find Dave Stamey or something like that. But anyways, wowza. Anything else?
I figured out what to call this segment instead of your peculiar suggestions yesterday. Ready?
Yeah.
It's the Conrys chewing on the cud.
Oh, I like it. Ruminations.
Yeah.
I'm down. Somebody else on Facebook or Twitter suggested a roundup, and I thought that was way better than Sands Through the Hourglass, Days of Our Lives, whatever.
For sure. Here.
So anyways, my one word was heavy because we were talking people today, people management. So not bad, but, again, I don't know how many times I've said this. I'm pretty sure I've said this sentence more than any other sentence on the Working Cows podcast, and that is all the way back on episode 2 when Dallas Mountain and I were talking about the biggest obstacles to success in ranching as it relates to the 4 pillars of ranching: land, animals, money, and people. I said, what's the biggest barrier? And he said, without a doubt, it's the people. And so this is a big deal, and we need to pay attention to it, give it the attention it deserves, and make sure that we are doing what we can to manage people well. So, weighty, heavy. Those are some of the words I thought of, I guess. A couple of things I want to touch on by way of review tonight is we talked about profit targets, and the best way to develop your profit targets is deciding what is your profit for. So if you made a $50,000 profit, what would you do with it? If you made a $100,000 profit, what would you do with it? And then just keep increasing it until you run out of things to do with the money that you made. What were some of your profit targets, or what would you use some profit for?
Yes, after paying yourself, which don't forget to pay yourself, I had that we would hopefully come to an agreement that we could pay off our property sooner, pay off our land sooner, and then also to start stuffing back cash reserve for retirement or invest in other areas for retirement. Then I had give, which is fairly broad and general statement, but give back to things we believe in, the local church, missions organizations, lots of very good options to give when you have money that you've been blessed with as a profit. And then I don't know why I put it on there because it doesn't appeal to me heavily, but I put travel. I don't know why. Maybe I thought by then we'll be making some bucks and we'll travel and we'll go see our kids wherever they land.
So yeah, good point. This is ranching for profit, not ranching to break even. And ranching to break even is when you pay yourself and you don't have anything left over after you've paid yourself and all your other overheads and direct costs and expenses. So we're talking about after all of those things are paid, after overheads, after expenses, after direct costs, after you've paid yourself a fair wage of what it would cost to replace yourself, after all those things, you've got profit left over. What would you do with that? And what are some of the things you would do with that? I had down that I would build a garage and improve our fleet of vehicles. And I don't mean buy brand new vehicles. I just mean we only own 2 vehicles currently that don't have 200,000 miles on them. And one of them is a Suburban we bought just before we came down here. And the other one is a 1996 van with 191,000 miles on it. So, yeah. I would have a year of reserves in the bank. If I went beyond being able to build a garage and improve the fleet, I'd have a year of reserves in the bank, and I'd reduce my salary from the church, or I'd try to be able to either put more of that into savings or whatever from the church, and buy more land, retirement, and then generosity, giving, whatever that was. So those are some of the things that I would use my profit for if I had all of my ducks in a row from a business management perspective, and I ended up with some profit.
When?
When? W-H-E-N or W-I-N?
W-H-E-N.
When will we do this?
When you have a profit.
When, not if. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Good correction. Mm-hmm. Appreciate that.
It's getting semi-late, so if we ramble a tiny bit, apologies.
Yeah. We're kind of night owls anyways. So then in this great school outline binder they give you, the last thing they asked us to do today, or Dallas asked us to do today, was to fill out what legacy do you want to leave? And here's the rest of that sentence, or the next sentence. Define your legacy as though it had nothing to do with physical assets. So I asked you to go first last time. I'll go first this time.
Good.
I say skills that are capable of improving the key resources of land, animals, people, and finances. And so as I read that out loud and critique myself as I read it, I realize the limitation in that, and that is that not all of those who will inherit our legacy will want to be involved in animal agriculture. They might not. But as we looked at today, what we're learning to do is look at ranching as a business, and the principles that we're learning at the Ranching for Profit School could be applied to any business. So land is kind of your production base. Animals are your production units, your factory, so to speak. Money is money, money's finances, and then people is human resources. So I want to equip my kids with skills that are able to, in whatever capacity they end up with, are able to improve, make better the situations and circumstances they walk into, whether it's production or money or people. I want them to be able to invest in those situations and make them better situations to be in, whether that's their family, their church, their work, animal agriculture, whatever it is. So that was my quick legacy statement. I'm sure my wife's is a lot more thoughtful than mine.
I don't have anything written down. I do have something written down, but it's not the value statement. All I had jotted down was to remember that it's more about values than things. So, having said that, I would want my legacy to be, I guess, in a closer, tight-knit circle of my influence to my children right now. They're who will be working on the ranch with us for the foreseeable future. I would want them to see me love Jesus well, and that they could do that also, take that on for themselves, and then that would flow over into their success in loving what we are entrusted with as far as our land, animals, whether they are ours or not, stewardship of anything given to them, time, money, and I don't want them to shy away from knowing how to run a shovel, how to do hard work. I think it's a good thing to know how to do hard work and to enjoy hard work, just as far as physical labor. Like, you shouldn't have to do that 100% of the time or for all of your life, but I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I may tweak that a lot after I actually write something down. But I don't think they can succeed genuinely unless they get the first thing right. And that's to love Jesus well for themselves. And then that can flow into genuine truth and success in the other areas.
Yeah. What'd Jesus say?
Jesus choop choo.
Thank you. He said, what is the summary of the law and the prophets? Or literally, on these two things, the whole of the law and the prophets hang. That is, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. So,
I don't expect them to be able to do that without help from the God of the Bible.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, those are the two things I had on my outline. Anything else from today that stuck out or you want to call attention to?
Not that I can think of right off the top of my head. It was a full day, and probably a very emotional day for a good chunk of the class. So I sympathize with the different positions people find themselves in. I feel as though our position has shifted a little bit since the first time we were introduced to this thought process of succession planning, but it's definitely not something to shove to the back of your brain, considering we will potentially have children interested in operations, businesses. It's our job to equip them with the tools that we are gaining right now so they can have them. And I'm not sure what succession completely looks like for us, but it's not something to put off.
Well, and I mean, that's the question he asked. What's your legacy? And think about it as though it doesn't involve passing on a physical asset.
Which in our case, it may not.
Yeah, more than likely it won't, honestly. I mean,
right.
We aren't, that's not what we're going to pursue probably is amassing a large set of capital assets. We run cows because we want to improve the land that we have.
And we love critters.
Yeah, four-leggeds are fun to have, but we want to make the land better. And so we're just not motivated because we've got other things with the church and kids and homeschool and all those other things.
It's definitely just an enjoyment of life for us, and that can be passed on too. Right. It doesn't have to be that they enjoy ranching, but that the ranch provided other opportunities to go do what they truly enjoy. Yeah.
And we want to pass on the ability to go succeed, whether or not they're involved in animal agriculture or not. And I think that part of that is passing on that ability to manage relationships.
All comes back to people.
Yeah.
It's a people problem.
Everything's a people problem. So, I think it is a good, just a good stuff. And one of the more exciting things about today for me was, celebrating our opportunity as we are homeschooling to involve our kids in setting the mission and vision for our ranch that they're on right now, even if they don't stay there, to invite them into that ICA process of listing, in a perfect world, what would this place look like? What kind of labor, economics, ecology, all these different areas. What would that look like? And invite them into that process. I think that would be a really fun exercise, and certainly in my mind, within the purview of a homeschool day for sure.
Well, just real life, introducing them to a business plan, business
mission and vision.
Well, and parts of the plan too. What enterprises are making money? What enterprises can't stay? All kinds of things they could learn.
Yeah. Critiquing what's the dead wood. That's another thing we covered today.
We covered a lot of things today. It wasn't all just people.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was real good. So anyways, we'll be back tomorrow night with a catchy jingle somewhere between here and there. And we'll share with you. I'm sure we'll be totally melted out tomorrow night. Tomorrow is economic analysis, so we're gonna dive hard into the numbers tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to being stretched in that way. Let's say that. So she's not thumbing her nose at me, but something like that.
Yeah. Pray for me.
In the future, God is outside of time. He can answer prayers. All right. I love you, and thanks for doing this again.
I love you.
See you tomorrow. Not going to do it, huh? She's inventing cuss words for working sheep, and she was going to start us off with hers, but...
I can say it.
Yeah?
But I only am going to use it with sheep. Seems like a sheep word.
Yeah. Irish, Scottish.
So, the name of the ranch that we're running numbers for this week is the Old Blimey Ranch, and it just has such a nice ring to it that I think you should yell it as a nice Christian cuss word. Oh, blimey!
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I think it works. So, today is Economics Day.
Where's that? Wah, wah, wah. No, where's the wah, wah, wah? Oh.
We're bad at this.
Wah, wah, wah.
This came with labels. I should use them.
Oh,
That's the one I was actually looking for.
That sounds like an alien's going to land.
What do you think? Is it this one? Is it green or is it...
Green is go. Yeah.
Today was Economic Analysis Day.
Thank you to whomever sent this fancy board to my husband. He's a new toy.
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly.
Super cool tool.
Well, I was talking
use.
about economic analysis.
Okay.
But yeah. Honestly, this economic analysis was much, I don't know how to say, better, easier than I think either one of us thought.
Taught very well, clear, good examples to follow. It always helps me to see it filled out in the chart first and then fill a chart out myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just helpful.
It's good. And so basically, Ranching for Profit takes you through a 7-step process. And that 7-step process will help you to determine your gross margin per unit. And then also, I believe, help you determine your overhead and direct cost expenses and those things. So it's a great tool, and it's explained well, and they provide you with forms to fill out, and the forms literally fill themselves out if you have your cow numbers and some basic. The thing that was said today was consistent and conservative cow valuations. The online forms will fill themselves out if you can put those things in. So that was good. It was good. It was a good day. It's a long day. Class started at 8:00 this morning. We made it to the tortilla factory, picked up our food, and made it back in time to start working on our numbers. And I think I looked at the clock on the way in from the car. It was 8:30 when we came in to the hotel room. So kind of a 12-hour day. Can't think of much we did.
Productive 12 hours.
Yeah, can't think of much we did today that wasn't numbers, though, right? It was all economic analysis.
A little mushy. Yeah.
Cow depreciation.
Yep.
All that.
Yes.
Good stuff. Fun stuff. Because I think they do a good job of mixing in real life examples with videos of people who have made significant changes to their business as a result of using these tools. So good stuff. What comes to your mind today? Your day end review.
Cow depreciation. Scary word. Depreciation of any sort is not anything we like to put an actual number and value to. Some ways of managing that. We talked about a good discussion around the table, good ideas on capturing value, purchasing cheaper stock, increasing salvage value. One crazy idea I had
Let's hear it.
was you are at a risk of losing a lot of value if your heifers don't breed back their second year. So a lot of good discussion at the table about that. One ranch is weaning calves off sooner of the H1s, so they have a longer recovery period. On green grass, so they have the protein and forage that's most desirable. Heavy feed input, but on green grass. My wild idea was, if she doesn't breed back, you hang on to her, try to breed her for fall calving ranch. The more I talked that through in the car on the way to get our Mexican food, was to maybe potentially not have two separate calving herds, especially in South Dakota, because we would not be running both of those on green grass, but to maybe sell those to a ranch down south, sell them to a neighbor who already has an established fall calving herd, somehow capture more value from her, especially if she breeds back that go. If she doesn't, I guess I'm all for trucking her out. But one other idea was to not breed them at all till they are 3-year-olds. But
Yeah.
Good discussion, lots of good ideas. Everything thrown out won't work for every operation. So
Yeah, and I think Dallas's response to not breeding them till they're 3 was run the numbers on it, and I don't know if that was a nice way of saying
careful of cost. Be careful of cost. Yes.
But it's always, and I think that's another good example of something we talked about, something that I've latched onto from the High Plains Ranch Practicum, something that we've done episodes on, is the 6 thinking hats, and I'm having my negative hat on when about not breeding them to calve until they're 3-year-olds, when maybe that's not the time. Now's not the time for negative. We should start with the facts. Then we should think positive, get creative, look at the negative after we've thought positive and gotten creative, then get creative again about what we came up with for negatives, and then go on to how do we feel about this. So, but we don't have a blue hat facilitator here today to help keep me from getting negative, but
black hat looks good on you.
At least one person thinks so. So, yeah, good stuff. I really enjoyed today. There was a couple of things that stuck out to me. One of them was the two key questions when we're doing economic analysis and financial analysis. We're answering 2 separate questions. When we're doing economic analysis, we're asking, is it profitable? Should I do it? Will I make money at it? Basically. And doing that with a lot of good tools taken into account. And yeah, we don't have time necessarily to get into them, but
you have to take the class.
Yeah, you have to take the class. Interest, opportunity interest, taking that into account. If I didn't do this, I would have more time and resources to do something else. And there's a mechanism built into the economic analysis to make sure that you are counting that into your stuff. So, I mean, yeah, I'm talking into a muted microphone. Oh no, I'm not. I was overloading my microphone because I'm a professional. So sorry about that. Anyways, so the good economic analysis, but two key questions we're answering is with economic analysis, we're answering, should I do it? Is it profitable? Will I make money at it? And then the second key question, or the financial key question, is how do I pay for it? Will it cash flow? Will this plan leave me short of money during the year? And what are some ways to overcome that? So good tools. And then my other favorite tool was for today was finding the dead wood. And economic analysis will give you a gross margin per unit. And the gross margin per unit has all these different things built into it. Your direct costs and a bunch of stuff. Just really good, thorough analysis, but it produces this gross margin per unit. And that's one limb of the tree. And then the other limb of the tree is overhead. So the profit tree, if you want to make a profit, if you're having an issue making a profit, it's because of one of two reasons, gross margin per unit or overheads. And if you do the economic analysis, it should be starkly revealed in your business. Are you liking my tree, my hand tree that I'm making? She's laughing at me. But anyways, if you do your economic analysis, it should be starkly revealed where your business is struggling. Is it on the gross margin per unit side? Do you need to look at your direct costs? Do you need to look at some of those things? Or is it on the overhead side? Do you need to look at land and labor? And land and labor is included any machine that replaces a person or makes a person more productive. That's also part of labor. So yeah, I don't know if dread is the right word, but it was a little intimidating.
Anxiety.
Yeah, going into today, and I'm pretty excited. I want to go home, and we're actually, I mean, here's evidence. We've already got our gross margin calculated tonight. That's why we went back to class, got there probably around 6:30, spent a couple hours, and we had a gross margin calculated for our sheep enterprise, and had Dallas check our work, and he said it was good after he fixed a couple of things. So
tools for the toolbox.
Yep.
But to be very intentional about putting it to work right away, so we don't get lazy.
I don't think my parents will turn me down, so I'll say it before I tell them I want to do this. I want to go to their house after we get back and do a gross margin analysis on their stuff with them, so that's fresh in my mind. And so anything else? You talked about cow depreciation. Do you have anything else?
Just really encourage, if it's something you've considered, to go. I think it's really neat. There's a gentleman in the class that's brought his 2 younger stepsons and 3 younger. Just what a cool example of bringing the next generation in. And yeah, he said he's going to have a hard time holding them back when he gets home. They're ready to run with some ideas, and what a cool thing. What an investment in a business, because it's a business.
And tomorrow is when we start ecology.
Nerd out.
Ecology,
so I have to share.
And then grazing cells.
I don't think anybody will probably listen to this that sits at my table. So the other day, I'm not even sure what the topic was. I'm not sure. Oh, what excites you, or something to that effect? Like,
you're weird.
What is, what's a driving factor of you? Yeah, I don't even remember how it was worded. Cow, calf, people, production, around the circle, maybe succession, legitimate things. And I nerded out and said, soil health. There's bugs in the cow patties. And everyone looked at me like, she's got a loose screw.
So, yeah, ecology tomorrow and grazing Thursday. So, cool. And then Friday we get a taste of what executive link is like. So, whoa, that'll be crazy.
More tools for the toolbox.
So, anyways, longest night yet. Longest review.
You can edit everything I say. Just hack it out of there.
I don't want to. But finish like we finish every night.
The Conrys chewing the cud.
No, I love you.
Oh. I love you.
Yes, ruminations, Conrys chewing the cud. So we'll be back again tomorrow night, and we'll have some ecology stuff to talk about, and some maybe the seeds of some grazing stuff, and then good stuff. So there I go, overloading the microphone again. Yeah, I don't know what that sounds like on your end, but sorry.
Yeah.
So all right, we'll see you tomorrow. Ecology Day. We're excited about Ecology Day, aren't we?
Yes.
I let out a woo loud in the classroom when he announced it was Ecology Day,
and you didn't be quiet after that all day.
You can ridicule me. I deserve it. It's the stuff. It's the stuff that is the most fun to get excited about. It's the stuff that is the easiest to track down a guest and talk to about for an hour. It's more fun to talk about this stuff than it is to talk about land or talk about money and people. So maybe that's part of it, but very, very good day. Very fun. Had some kind of aha moments today, I guess. What would you say? Anything stick out? I was sitting there today and thinking, when you see runoff, I guess my reaction is always when you see rain hitting the soil and running off is to say, well, we missed out on that water. But then today, the aha moment for me was we're also taking soil with that in a lot of ways, I don't know. It was just one of those things like really cemented in my brain, I guess, that we're losing soil, we're losing nutrients, we're losing microbes, and I don't know. It was just a connection I hadn't made. You hear people say things like America's number one agricultural export by weight is soil every year, and that is shocking, but it's just something a connection I made today.
Would be interesting to see if there are spots on our own property we could measure if we're capturing, there's obviously ways to track riparian areas. We have lots of gullies, washouts. How do we track if that's just all washing away? If we're repairing it, if we're soaking it in, would be really exciting.
Increased water holding capacity. Steve Kenyon said that the number one nutrient that we should be managing on our ranch is water.
Sure.
Sun's going to shine.
Sure.
Don't know if it's going to rain again. Don't know when it's going to rain again. Don't know how hot it's going to be before it rains again. So if we got increased water holding capacity, we're a long ways down the road towards a more resilient system, and that's what we want. That's
the ultimate drought plan.
Yeah. Yep.
Capture it, turn it into stockpile forage.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Grow more grass in the growing season than you need, and then feed less hay. Right?
That's the hope.
Yeah. So, another thing that I think I kind of am wrestling with right now, I'm kind of hoping that the EL day, our introduction to EL, I think is on Friday, and I'm kind of hoping that we actually have an opportunity to pitch an idea to our group and then let them, shoot holes in it. Black hat, green hat, yellow hat, red hat, white hat, whatever.
What's your idea?
I want to bring in the same number of yearlings we brought in last year and lock them on the half of the ground that we treated the best and give them the same size of a paddock that we gave them last year, but cut it in half for 2 days instead of giving them all of it for 2 days. Cut it in half for 2 days and then open it up and give them the whole thing for another 2 days. That's going to reduce the number of times we have to move water, which is a big fat because moving water was the most miserable part of our system last year.
It was a trick. I wish I would have taken that video today. 2 guys were talking about poly pipe. I wish I would have had a video of us attempting to unroll the whole reel of poly pipe by hand. Our 12-year-old knows that that's something you should never do again.
Adam, you were right. Stick a small bale core through it and pick it up with my bale unroller, then unroll it. I tried to unroll it with a piece of 2 7/8 inch pipe through it. That didn't work.
Oh, man. It was a mess.
Yeah. I ended up going and getting a pipe unroller from a neighbor and throwing the mess on top of that. And then
we rewound it back onto there. Lesson learned. So if you need to not learn that lesson, listen. Listen. Don't do it. Don't do it by hand.
And then Dallas, of course, pushing back on that idea, said, what are you going to do with the other half of the ranch that you're not using? And I said,
rest.
It needs the rest, first of all. Secondly, if we get the rain, like I don't think we're going to get, maybe that's just me and my black hat, but if we get the rain like I don't think we're going to get, then it's there and we can offer the guy that's bringing us cattle another 3 months of grazing and have more money, more cash flow, or we can not feed any hay this next winter like we are now. We can try some stockpile grazing. I think that there's enough nutrient benefit to bale grazing that it's kind of hard not to do that, but yeah.
That's more for ground health anyways.
It's not cheap.
I would let it rest, but I wouldn't be opposed to hitting it fast and getting off fast. We have a lot of cheatgrass on that side of the property, and then just getting off super fast. Because, of course, it's the side that runs right along the road where everyone can see. We hammered it harder than we should have.
Yeah, and that part that we made our mistakes on that led to some, I think, pregnancy issues. I don't know. Anyways, that part that we made our mistakes on, I don't plan to touch for 2 or 3 years. So it's had its severe graze. It needs to be given time to recover. So, anything else?
I would have to look at my notes. I don't know.
You can do that if you want. No? We're good.
Yeah, I can look.
Okay. So, yeah. Grazing and Ecology Day at Ranching for Profit, Day 4. Kind of appreciate that. Spend a couple of days when everybody's fresh and new talking about people and money, and then get to grazing and ecology on Day 4 and 5, and then Day 6 is, I think, an EL preview. I don't know how much of the day is spent on the EL preview, but yeah, it's something that I think is, the people and the money are the biggest obstacle to success, and so it's good to cover those when everybody first gets there and talk about those things. What you got?
I don't feel so overwhelmed coming into this class just because of the High Plains Ranch Practicum, which I'm grateful for. So I'm glad we don't even have to consider getting rid of our dependency on hay, dependency on herbicide, things that other people maybe haven't considered.
Yeah,
kind of cut and dry. We didn't plan to do it in the first place, so we don't have to get rid of it.
Yeah, how much
major benefit?
There was a question in there about how much of an increase or how much money would you make if you stopped spraying every year? And I put a 0 in that blank.
Right. If you got rid of hay, if you got rid of spraying, it's just nice to worry about the other major areas that we can improve in. Just not worry about those.
Yeah, and we are dependent on hay right now. I guess there's probably some stockpile forage out on the backside that we could have gotten to. Are a little
right, but
with
it's
water
not the
there.
first time we'd ever heard that.
Sure.
So it wasn't like a total slap in the face.
Yeah, absolutely. We weren't standing up, beating the table, saying that doesn't work where we're at, and that didn't happen today. Maybe that was internal. Maybe some people were thinking that internally, but yeah, I got you. You're smarter than me.
Number of paddocks to give adequate rest, which we accomplished that last summer on the backside of our property.
8 to 10 paddocks will give adequate rest.
I thought this was interesting that instead of giving them the 5 days of grazing, the 3 days, just what it does to benefit the gut health. I have assumed that's similar in sheep, that they aren't so busy trying to adjust their gut levels that it ranged from a 5 to a 3 when it was only on 3 days.
Yeah.
Improves animal performance, but that's all got to go back to their gut health.
Right. Yep. They're not crashing on a crashing plane of nutrition on that 5th, 6th, 7th day.
Right. It's not like a fast or the idea of fasting toward the end. To crash your blood sugars, just have to hike them and overeat and then crash and then overeat.
Yep.
I always like the idea that I'm taking good care of my critters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
That's my, I wrote and Clay's big question was whether or not my idea of using the back half of my ranch only was that too crazy? I still have a big question, and that's one I'm trying to figure out this week is, am I trying to starve profit into my business by just bale grazing this year? Do I need to be supplementing with some protein? If the cows look fat, which I would say they do right now, is that a good indication that we're not starving profit into our business?
Sure. So. I think we should probably get boots back on the ground and start looking at manure, make sure we're not missing a protein signal there.
Yeah.
Because we aren't supplementing any protein currently.
And I think probably people would say we are, just based on the stackiness, as they say, of it, but I don't know.
I haven't looked recently enough to say, so got to constantly be paying attention.
Yep.
So.
And I don't know enough to know if what we have is stacky or not. So.
But we got to talk about bugs and poop today, so. Yay. The Conrys. We're in their happy place.
Yeah, it was a good day.
It was a very good day.
So, anything else?
I just can't thank Ranching for Profit enough for trying to make people's quality of life improved through practical in every aspect of the business.
Yeah.
They do a wonderful job. People are wading through some deep thought processes this week. I feel like we're in a super unique position where it doesn't have to pay our bills, so maybe it doesn't hold the stresses and the fear. Mm-hmm. But it's major decisions.
Yep.
So keep up the good work, Ranching for Profit.
Yep. Very good.
Taking care of people.
Yep. Yeah, and people and their healthy and thriving relationships are going to cause more people to want to come back to the land. Mm-hmm. That's a good thing.
Yeah, if we could see our kids succeed in the operation, that would be what a lot of people want to see happen but never actualize.
Tagline for Ranching for Profit: healthy land, happy families, profitable businesses. So, cool. I love you. Thank you.
I love you.
We'll see you again tomorrow. Well, this is the morning after, actually, because
we're old.
Sitting and thinking is hard work.
We were tired.
So, we
talked cell grazing planning and design yesterday. Another good day. Kind of one of those exciting subjects we enjoy talking about. I'd say I enjoy the ecology side probably most of all, but
I probably like the grazing the best. Grazing charts. I want to be in charge of the grazing chart. That was fun.
yeah.
A nice tool to see where we've been and where we should go next year.
Yep. Yeah, and I think, considerations that maybe we don't struggle with. The grazing chart's a great plan for that. Poisonous plants at certain times of the year. I know Wyoming has larkspur and other places have deathy camas and all that stuff. So, and I don't know, some versions are more deadly or are altogether not deadly after a certain point in the year. So, kind of a good tool for saying, well, we can't be in these paddocks because we've got that issue there. But I'd say for me personally, and this will probably be a little shorter episode, we got to get going to class, but I'd say for me personally yesterday, the highlight was the drought plan.
Oh, you stole mine again. He stood up in class and said, drought proofing, after I'd said, drought proofing.
What stuck out to you about the practical side of it?
Again, the grazing chart and being able to look at it and recording your rainfall so you can come back and make a very educated guess as to when you should or shouldn't stock things, when you should or shouldn't take on stockers as an agreement for the year. Making decisions early.
Right. Yeah. Big time.
The tools to make decisions early.
Especially if you're working with cattle that you own, whether you're buying stockers out of the sale barn or running cow-calf. If you can make that decision early, the market maybe hasn't taken the hit yet. And I think that ranching for profit gives you the tools to make those decisions early, for sure.
Right.
I think that another thing that stuck out to me was one of the intimidating things to me about the grazing or about the drought plan was, well, how do I know how much rain I get? Like I can measure year to year, but how do I know what I should be expecting? And so I found a website, and I will put the link in the show notes page for today, workingcows.net/173. I'll put the link in that show notes page at workingcows.net/173, and it's a government data website where every county in your state. So when I downloaded South Dakota's records, there were 69,000 lines of data on it. So I went through and I selected all the counties that weren't Meade County, where I live, and I deleted them. And then it gives you, and then I went through, because it gives you 100 years or 120 years of data for every one, I think. And so I went through and deleted all the lines that weren't the last 5 years in Meade County. So I got it down to a manageable 60 lines worth of data because it's monthly. This is what you had. I don't know if it's last year. And this is what the average of 1901 to 2000 was. But it gives you a bunch of different rainfall data for each, or precip data for each month, and you can kind of see this is what has been kind of what we can expect. And of course there's anomalies in there. So like 2019, we usually get 15 to 16 inches of rainfall. We had 40 in 2019. So, and that's actual rainfall, not including snow. So that was an anomalous year, but that presents an opportunity. You get to, if you stock at your average rainfall, what happens if we stock every year at our average rainfall? We're overstocked some years, we got too many animals, and then some years we're understocked. So if we've got that flexible herd that we can bring in or get rid of real quickly to match the rainfall, and some key decision dates, that's important.
And with your plan, you can take care of your people better as well, and yourself mentally, because no one wants to watch their animals hungry. No one wants to feed and watch their money disappear. No one wants to watch their land be beat to nothing. So taking care of yourself mentally, as far as if you have a plan, you maybe don't have to watch the things you dread.
Yeah, very good. Anything else stick out to you?
We don't have time.
Okay, all right, we got to go. We'll catch you later. Last night of the class. Tomorrow is a kind of a wrap-up day, it sounds like. So we are back with our final evening of recording our review of the class. And today was a good day. We started out talking about syncing our production cycle with nature, I guess, whether that's calving or lambing or custom grazing. We want to be in sync with nature. So is there any major takeaways there?
No one. Just we grafted out our growth and then laid over our nutrition needs, and it was a good tool to match up what's peak at what peak time and turn that so the months shake out, and gives you a pretty good tool to find out when you should maybe be considering doing things.
Yep.
Like calving.
Yep. Match the forage supply on your ranch with the nutrient requirements of your herd, and getting to see that on paper was good. And then kind of some tools to do that for yourself and turn the wheel around so you can see where it matches up on your herd, depending on when you're calving, when you're weaning, and all those things. So a couple of thoughts I had during that was Johann Zietzman says, I think in his texting group, that you should be able to calve, wean, and breed on green grass. And I think that takes a fairly tropical environment to get that done, but it's definitely food for thought anyways. So, and that was kind of the first half of the day, along with some review and some emphasizing other points that didn't come up in the course of the class and some of those things. So it was good to hear, good to kind of my aha moment, I think, was that if we line up our nutrient requirements for our cows or our herd with the forage availability in our kind of neck of the woods, our latitude, then if we were just going off of the availability of forage, we would calve according to that in September and October. But it's really needs to be a balance, I suppose, between quality and quantity of forage, and that needs to determine when you are calving. And because I know lots of people that calve in the fall and still end up feeding maybe as much or more hay than people who calve in the spring. In our neck of the woods.
That really did look like a peak time to calve, though, in our area when you matched it up. But you got to consider input costs of feed.
And then after I say that thing about Johann Zietzman, I'm starting to wonder if that's maybe why sheep work so well, because they have a 5-month breeding
gestation period.
Of course, we're breeding right now, so we're definitely not breeding on green grass. But anyways.
Yeah, but we'll be dropping babies in green grass.
Yep.
They're too fragile for the snowbanks.
Oh man, they're tiny and scary small little guys when they come out. But then the last half of the day, and I was surprised it was that much of the day, but it was really neat. I was really glad that we put all the time into it that we did. We were all supposed to give an introduction to our ranch, and then we were supposed to give the vision for the ranch, talk about what phase we are in, phase 1, 2, or 3. Phase 1 is a startup, phase 2 is profitable, and phase 3 is unprofitable with a lot of fixed assets and
usually those are the kind that are on paid for land and some of those things. So that was, and then after that we went to our economic priority. What is the urgency? Rank the urgency, 1, 2, or 3. 1 being the greatest, 3 being the least urgent. For gross margin per unit, number of units, or overhead. And I ranked ours number of units first priority, gross margin per unit second priority, and overheads third priority. And that number of units is just, we need to expand. We need to scale our business up a little bit. My worry areas were our neighbor relations. We want to keep those good. And then some other ones. And then the paradigm question, if there was one change now seemingly impossible, which would make a fundamental difference to your business, what would that change be? And I said scale. And then we were supposed to give a SWOT analysis, SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And then after that, here comes the interesting part. After you spend, how long do we have? We had
10 minutes,
10 minutes to describe it,
Mm-hmm.
and then 15 minutes to discuss it. So they could ask us any questions, get more details about our businesses.
Clarify. Yep.
Yep. And then after that, so you spend 25 minutes kind of introducing and asking questions about your business. And I mean, we had people share number of acres, number of head, amount of money they're making per animal in our group. So it was a very transparent group. After that, you turn around and they talk about you like you're not in the room and say, this is what he or she should be doing different in their business. So this is designed to be a preview of the executive link class, and that I think they spend a couple of hours on each business in an executive link session, going through each one of these things, or going through each person's ranch. But like, they have to submit their numbers a week in advance to the Ranching for Profit. Yeah, Ranching for Profit office, and then the office forwards it on to your board members. And then they all have that week to go through your numbers, and then then you do the introduction and all the other things, the vision, the worry areas, the priorities, the strengths and weaknesses, and then they get to make recommendations. So, for those who don't know, Executive Link is the alumni support program for Ranching for Profit, and you join it per business, and then 4 times a year you have the same 5 people on your board, and you get together with them 4 times a year and talk about your business using some of these tools, using some other tools, and they've got team building experiences and ranch tours and different things that go on at those businesses or those meetings. So, did I miss anything on that?
What'd they tell you we needed more of?
More sheep. Yep. So when I talked to them about the gross margin per unit on our sheep, they said, you should do more of that. And that's kind of what it's about. It's about finding what's working good and doing more of it. So how'd yours go?
They recommended soil testing to see what the soils may be lacking to obtain some of the warm season grasses we're hoping to have move in. And that was something real practical we could go home and do soon.
Mm-hmm.
A monitoring station that's not grazed, so you can maybe catch those things that you missed because you grazed it off so fast. I genuinely don't think we have warm season grasses, but you would maybe have to corner off a section of land that wasn't grazed to truly evaluate what's coming in.
Yeah, we had the NRCS guy and a range specialist, I think, or somebody who was in the range program at the SDSU come out, and they were there in June, and he actually pointed out a warm season grass that we had, and I don't think we found very much of it, like a couple of plants.
That a sedge? Was
No.
that the sedge? No. Mm-mm. All I remember is he said sedges have edges.
Yeah. So when you roll a sedge, you'll feel kind of like corners on it. And he said that's a good way to tell it's a sedge because sedges have edges. So, but he pointed that out, and I said, "Well, is it a warm season grass?" And he said, "Well, I said, is it time for warm season grasses to grow yet? And he's like, well, we're at the end of June. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess.
Was it buffalo? Buffalo grass isn't warm season. No.
I don't. Yeah, buffalo grass is a warm season grass, but I think it was, I don't remember. I think it had a really small, tight seed head, but I don't think it was prairie June grass either. So
we're shooting for some big blue stem.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's one of the encouragements I've taken from the times I've talked to Roland Cruz. Is he always talks about if you take the pressure off of the ecosystem, there's a lot of those things that are laying dormant under that pressure that will spring to life. So here's hoping.
Right. Green up will be a tell-all time.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Kind of my aha moment was to try a little bit more of a 2-pass intensive grazing system this year and only graze half of our ranch, which if we do it that way and we have the same number of animal units, it would represent a tripling of the stocking rate on our ranch. We didn't double it this year. I said we did, and I recently did an interview with a new podcast that's coming out, and I said we doubled it. But I did the math the other day, and we did a 1.44 increase, so 44% increase, I guess. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but when we should be able to run a 1, and we did a 1.44 on ours this year, just moving every day or every other day. So,
is that sheep included?
No. That's true.
I considered it double because we ran cows through and just gave about 30 days rest and came in behind with sheep.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. Nope, didn't include sheep in that. So, yeah. Anyways, if we do it the way I'm thinking about doing it, where we leave the hayland to rest, it will be a lot. It'll give us an opportunity to see what's actually there after one season
more rest.
Of grazing. Yeah.
What did you get any pushback?
If it does start raining, rotate through the hay fields and lop them off so that they're better forage in the winter. So, yeah, that's a concern, I guess. If we're going to winter graze it as standing stockpiled forage, it might not be very desirable by the time they get to it. So we'll have to do some analysis on how well crested wheat maintains its feed value. I know it drops off really fast, but does it plateau off as it drops off at the bottom? And where is that? Is it enough protein and all those things for the critters we have in the production cycle that we have?
Sure.
So again, I really do. Dallas said that sometimes people find today the most profitable part of the deal, and I would say that's true. It was good to get some of that pushback, to hear people talk about your business like you're not there, and take some notes. But it also requires comfort with sharing some of those things, and that's the advantage of having that group of people who's on the same page, who's there to invest in your business, who you trust, and you're there to do the same for them. You can share numbers, you can share those things, and
they're on your side. They're there for your benefit.
Right. Yep. So, anything else? Any other things we didn't talk about all week?
We did work on a mission and vision statement.
Want to read it?
Which is which? I'm still confused.
Mission is the
Long
purpose.
one?
Yep. And vision is the plan. And I don't think we did a vision statement, did we?
Yeah, we did.
Because we didn't have one that laid out a plan for how to do it.
Oh, maybe we didn't.
No, I don't.
We're a work in progress.
We've got a long version and a short version.
Okay.
Which one you want to read?
Which one do you want to hear?
I don't care. We got all the time in the world. We got 12 and a half hours of recording space left on this.
Oh, hot diggity. I'll read the long one.
All right.
On the Conry Ranch, since we can't decide on a name for the Conry Ranch, on the Conry Ranch, we seek to bring God the glory with the land he has entrusted to us. In doing this, we seek to have a functioning ecology that protects soil health and invites in more wildlife we can enjoy as a family. We plan to manage our monetary resources wisely by doing yearly projections, having profitable enterprises, great cash flow for investing into our future, our church, and neighbors in need. We will strive to have a well-maintained property with nice fencing, working water, and our own sheep to graze year-round. We will serve others by custom grazing in the growing season, giving us seasonal cash flow and adding to our soil. We will work hard and include all family members in daily operations. We will rest and get away as a celebration of our lifestyle and a job well done.
Very good. We live on, or Cattle Creek splits our place. So my suggestion, maybe because I'm influenced by Steve Kenyon and Greg Judy, is to call it Cattle Creek Pastures. And that would be especially ironic if we ended up only having a milk cow and sheep.
Yeah. Now, see, I like the name Triple Strand, but I went and gave that name to our LLC as a family. So,
Yeah.
man.
And I'd be okay with Three Strand Ranch, or however we wanted to say it.
Yep. Oh, the dilemmas.
It's tough. It's tough.
Our brand is H Lazy J, but I don't know.
And the J runs the wrong way. So if I always say it's a shepherd's hook, but that's because I'm a pastor. So
How we do run sheep.
yeah, yeah. So if you draw it out, the J hooks up when it should hook down. So
All to say, folks, if you want to weigh in on a good name, throw them out.
this is harder than naming a girl.
Yeah, we had trouble with that too. Hi, Charlie.
All right. Well, it's official. And then there you go, peeking my mic again. It's official. This is the longest review episode of the week, and it's going to put us closer to an hour and 45-minute episode. And I'm going to stuff in some of the reactions from other people at the end of this. So we'll leave you with a good goodbye. And I love you. Thanks for doing this with me.
I love you. Thanks for listening to me all week.
And Miranda needs her own podcast. We learned that today. I don't shut up in class, and Miranda only said 2 things, and they were both more meaningful than all the things that I had to say. So
You're totally biased.
and so anyways, she needs her own podcast, and we've got ideas about that, but I don't think we're ready to launch anything here yet.
Don't consider that a spoiler alert.
Okay. All right. Well, anyways, we're going to leave you with some of the reactions of other people who were here, what they came for, what they're leaving with, and if they're surprised by the difference between what they came for and what they're leaving with. And then you'll hear the outro music, and we'll be done. So we'll see you next week with another episode of the Working Cows Podcast.
Jeff Bronner from South Central Kansas. I come to the Ranching for Profit School more for the economic side to try and figure out new ways of looking at some of the same old numbers that we've used in the past. Try and figure out new ways to evaluate things. And oh Lord! All right, I'm Jeff Bronner from South Central Kansas. I come to the Ranching for Profit School for the economic side of things, and to try and look at our numbers in a new way, to try and figure out how to break things out, do things a little different, become more profitable. What I'm coming away with is not only a new way to look at things, but a way to new grazing ideas too. So it's overall been a very, very good class to come to.
Anything else you're leaving with that you didn't expect to leave with?
Some more grazing knowledge, I suppose. Didn't really think about the whole grazing side. I really come from the economic side, but was able to pull out grazing stuff too. So.
And the economics, good, bad, different, better than other stuff you've seen and exposed to?
Most definitely different. Pleasantly surprised with the way to dissect some of this stuff. Hadn't thought of it in the ways that they think of it. And so, yes, very impressed. All right.
Nailed it.
I don't know about that.
I'm Scott, and this is my wife, Nadine Sigel. We're from Osborne, Kansas, Osborne County. We farm and ranch in southern Osborne County. Run about 150 cow-calf pairs normally, and some stockers in the 200 to 500 range, and that's kind of what we do, I guess. Background, a few calves.
Sure. What brought you to Ranching for Profit?
This has been a case of where I'm getting ready to retire from my current job in extension. Our son, who was involved in the operation, went to the class a few years ago, really got a lot out of it. Scott has been through a similar type of class, and so they've talked about a lot of this information. And Andrew just said, Mom, you're going to this because we want you to understand the numbers and to be able to help us with this and to start taking over some of the bookkeeping for the business.
So have you been surprised by anything that you're taking away, or you're taking away more than just the numbers, or how has that been this week?
Oh yeah, it's taken away a lot more than just the numbers. Growing up on a farm, and my dad had some cattle and stuff too, I had an idea of what a ranching operation was like, but yet I never got into the aspects of trying to figure out how many acres you needed to feed something, or the carrying capacity, what the grazing capacity of the ground was, those types of things. It's made me see that there's a lot more to the data that's collected on a farm or a ranch versus the economic part of it.
Scott?
I think, as Nadine said, I have been to a different, holistic management class. And there's a lot of similarities in everything, but the one thing is probably the emphasis on the economic analysis and trying to figure that out and understand it more so than the other. But and that's the biggest takeaway I would say that I'm getting is the economic side of it. But it's all been good review and good understanding, and I hope Nadine's getting a good introduction to it. So.
Now, one of the things from today that I really appreciated was them going over some of the things for drought proofing. We've had drought. Everybody's had drought that's been in the business, but yet we really had not ever sat down at home and talked about how to drought proof, to plan for that ahead of time. And I really appreciated them acknowledging that there's a lot of mental aspects that go along with this, and that people really need to learn to take care of themselves and to put that in. That should come first.
We've on the ranch out. We've never really worried about drought too much because we were never pushing things very hard. But the more my son and I have got into this, we're pushing things harder, and drought proofing is coming more into play. And so learning how to handle it makes a lot of difference, and understanding it better. So.
There you go.
Don't think so.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What do you do?
I'm Ryan Heipel. I live in Alliance, Nebraska. I ranch east of town with my wife and my lifelong best friend and his father. We were in a cow-calf operation there. We just recently bought some grass, my wife and I, so I'm coming back here for my second time to run some hard numbers and get a good handle on paying for that place. I came back to accurately kind of project my profit and losses and figure out what will work best for me on my place and for us to try and pay the bills. I also came back because it is absolutely indispensable to the contacts you meet here. It's hard to even put a monetary value on the conversations that go here and the viewpoints that come from all around the nation. We have people in class, if you look on the map, from Montana to Texas, and I mean South Texas. So I suppose I'm going to take home some pretty good ideas with me. I came here thinking I had some good ideas, and when we ran the numbers, I get to start over. So that's good. I got to project those a year in advance, so the amount of money that could possibly save is pretty substantial. Also be leaving with some great principles. I have some aha moments that have the possibility to change our whole operation, and just have gotten a lot of great ideas from people here. That there's a wealth of knowledge in there. It goes pretty deep, and man, you can learn something from everybody in there.
It's better to lose money on paper than it is in the real world.
In real life. Yeah, it's all paper, but it's more fun to lose it on paper than the real paper.
Perfect. Thank you.
You bet.
Well, my name is Mike Hanna, and this is my bride, Robin, and we're from Southwest Nebraska. I've spent my whole life there, doing some farming and ranching. Lately, it's turned into more ranching and a lot less farming. Uh,
Yep, good. So what drove you to come to the class? Why did you come here?
well, we wanted some help and encouragement. I came here with some ideas that possibly we could get some ideas about a will and trust and all those kind of things. I also just felt like the numbers were just a little bit out of reach, just not quite good enough to get a hold of them, good enough to make excellent decisions. And we're learning all kinds of different things about numbers. I still have some problems with trusting even the numbers that we're coming up with here to know that this is a fact rather than a hope or a wish. Is this number really, really correct? And I still have some questions or doubts whether they are absolutely correct. But I want to have the numbers so good that the management decisions are based on fact. And we had a neighbor that encouraged us to come to answer some of these questions. And he said it would challenge some of my paradigms. And we're looking forward to breaking all those down. And what we're going to take away from this is that we do need more help. This will not be the end. We do have names, phone numbers, people to continue to help us. And we also want to get our son involved in this very thing of ranching for profit.
Anything to add, Robin?
I think one of the major things that we were looking for is to maximize the potential of what we are dealing with right now. And in doing that, we've received a lot of information over the last few days, and we're continuing for the next few days. It's a very an intensive amount of overload of information that we now need to take home and somewhat sort through and choose what's going to be beneficial to our situation right now. We realize without a doubt that what was done in the past and the old ways aren't working as well nowadays. And we need change. We're willing to change, but as we get older, we're not young. As we get older, change is more difficult. So we're excited that we have a son that is enjoying it and seems to want to do that, but he's at the pivotal point of his life of going off to college. And if this is what he wants to do, ranching for profit gives him enough exposure to land management, to cattle, to just everything that's involved. And then he can go from there as he does further education.
Very good, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, anyhow, that's what we're doing, and really appreciated Dallas and being here and meeting everybody. So,
Are you leaving with anything different than you expected to this time?
maybe a couple of more ideas, talking about a flex herd and a static herd, and combining some stockers in our cow business, hopefully to maybe get some of that done. It's something we've been thinking about, but it just got reinforced here this time. So, all right, thanks.
I'll tell you when you're ready. My wife and I came to Ranching for Profit because we were looking for a better way to do things and a better community of people to implement these things. And I think we for surely found it. here. We'd kind of been dabbling in what we're talking about here already, and now it's just cemented the fact that we need to, if we jumped in with both feet, get waist deep in it, so to speak.
Are you leaving with anything you didn't expect to leave with?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's, people we met here probably, can lean on, talk to. I wasn't expecting that, Just the connections made here, it's unbelievable, Like they said, they thought about doing this over Zoom, because of the pandemic, and I don't think there's any way that could. It's the networking and the connections made in person that's half of it, I would say.
Anything else about your experience here?
It's just been great. I mean, the people we've met and the stuff we've learned, it's invaluable, and breaking through those paradigms and that's been the biggest thing. Change the way you look at things and change the way you think about things.
Tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do.
I'm Vegas Vardy from Berthold, North Dakota, and we run a cow-calf operation and a custom feedlot.
We invite you to visit workingcows.net to subscribe to the show via iTunes or Stitcher. You'll also find detailed show notes pages, resources from our guests, and the industry leaders who have influenced them. For more ideas on putting your cows to work for you in a more profitable way, tune in next week.
Hey, we were just kidding. We're back with another final wrap-up. Conrys Chewing the Cud episode, or portion of that episode. You're going to hear some car noises in the background. We're sitting in line at the Chick-fil-A in Cheyenne, Wyoming, getting our lunch on the way out of town. We just sat through the review of the whole week and some other exercises that they took us through, kind of to help us process some of the information we took in. So, Miranda, what are your thoughts?
Talk about the letter we wrote to ourselves.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Are we going to give away some spoiler alerts here?
No, just the process.
Okay. So, Dallas had us kind of lower our arms down to our side and shake our arms out and close our eyes and take some deep breaths and think about what we want our businesses to look like, ecologically or land-based, money, people, finances, animals. So, and then write a letter.
People.
Yep, and then write a letter based on that.
To yourself.
To yourself or somebody who cares about your business. And we both cheated and found out that we wrote our letters to each other. So, I guess, what'd you have to say in the letter, or do you want to tell?
Oh, that we had made improvements to the land, but we still had areas to work on, which I think is a pretty realistic snapshot of what I think is coming. Just figuring our grazing chart out so we have tools for drought preparation and what that looks like as far as bringing in custom cattle and where we put sheep next.
Yeah, and I said that we had accomplished a lot. We made some infrastructure investments to reduce the labor in our sheep grazing business. So, those were kind of some of the things that came up in mine, and then that we had kind of gotten a savings established and managed some cash flow things, and that we now had time and margin to work and rest and play in whatever opportunities come our way.
Yeah, we were planning a vacation.
Yeah, and a vacation that doesn't involve going to a school.
What?
Yeah, that was one of the things when I started at Prairie Home Church. They said, we want you to get away and go get away with your family. And this is not.
If you take in custom grazers, that shoots the normal range for thinking of taking a vacation. So it'll have to be a fall vacation.
Yeah. Well, and I think like
or winter.
Fall, winter. I think like in our context too with the job at the church, that summer isn't the best time for us to take a vacation, because if we were going to try and fill the pulpit from within the congregation, which is my first preference, those guys are all real busy, and it's kind of hard for them to, with haying and everything else that goes on in the summer, they're kind of working sundown to sunup, or sunup to sundown, I should say. And then, so yeah, it's kind of a hard thing. So I think a winter vacation probably fits in a few different ways for us better. And I kind of like leaving in January and going somewhere warmer in. So
we got to figure our winter water out.
Yeah, for sure. But we've got a Tomcat Manufacturing.
Got the tools, yeah.
Tomcat Manufacturing Old Faithful that we're going to put in, and I kind of called an audible on when and where to put that. I think I'm going to put it in down by an old well, an old pump jack well that we're going to rehabilitate with solar hopefully this year. So anyways, anything else today? Anything else about the review or the letter writing exercise or any of that?
Oh, just a lot to keep processing. Just keeping up with the networking of people that you met too, to help keep one another accountable, because not everyone will go on to the Executive Link program, but if we could all still be our own community to hold each other to our goals, that would be a win.
Right. Yep. For sure. No, it was a great experience. Really thankful for the opportunity, and excited about some of the changes. So we talked a little bit about the exercise we went through yesterday. We kind of picked that up today, and we got to answer for ourselves when they talked behind our back. We weren't allowed to qualify any of the things that they said, but today we got that opportunity. And then we went through and we sat there. Everybody was supposed to write down one thing that they thought each person around the table needed to do last night. And then today they all read those to us after we read our lists and gave our answers. And then they read their one thing to us, and then we would read the three things that we thought we were supposed to do on ours. And it was almost every case at our table, there was a high degree of agreement there. So,
and we missed a step in that process. We didn't read our suggestions to everyone else. I think everybody was tired.
Yeah.
Worn out from the week. Yes, one thing I would challenge if you go through that process is somehow find a way to mix up your order of operations as far as evaluation. Because I came at the end of the line both times, and I think everybody's brain was shot by the time you get to that last operation. And I think they thought we had a lot of things under control as far as doing things well, which is encouraging, but you really need people to push you to dig deep and find your room for improvement.
Yeah.
So that would be my only critique on that exercise was get up, play musical chairs, and shuffle that. So you're getting a fresh pecking order there maybe of ideas and just energy level. But everybody's worn out by the end of the week. So I don't see a better time to do that during the week, but it's a mind-stretching exercise.
I'm reasonably certain I could have fallen asleep at 7 or 7:30 on Thursday and Friday night and not woken up until 4:30 or 5 the next morning. I was just that mentally, drained. It was great. It was great experience, and I can't imagine what that would be like for somebody that's totally fresh coming into that class. I mean, we had the High Plains Range Practicum, which was a huge leg up, and the podcast over the last three and a half years has been a big leg up. So, yeah, I can't imagine what that would have been like for somebody who was just starting out. So, but yeah, it's certainly, and every business owner could benefit from that class, not just ranches, because there are ways to apply every principle in that class to a business, because it is a business school for ranchers. It's not a ranching school necessarily. It's a business school for ranchers. So
we should have done it with the coffee shop. I had that idea.
Yeah.
Or thought several
Sure.
times.
Yeah. Reduce overheads, increase gross margin per unit, and increase turnover. Yeah.
Yeah.
We could have benefited from all of those lessons
People,
when we were
people too.
Yeah.
You're always looking at employees. So.
Yeah, for sure. Well, anyways, this will probably come after the outro music for those who stick around for it. So we're happy to be done with it, and happy to see what changes come in our operation, and continue to subscribe to the Working Cows podcast, and you'll probably get some updates here and there about what changes in our operation going forward. So anything else?
Thanks for putting up with me all week.
Everybody's going to be asking for Miranda to have her own podcast by the time this is out and over with.
Goodbye, Clayton.